Hello and welcome to Profiles in Risk. This is your host, Tony Cañas, switching to my radio voice and wishing that I was wearing my Rice insurance, the best industry to work in, because quite clearly, Catrin and I share a passion for this industry. Uh, so today I have with me Catrin Townsend, Director of Education at PriceWriters and author of A Risky Business, An Actuary's Guide to Quantifying and Managing Risk in Society. So first of all, Catrin, thank you for joining me today. And real quick for the listeners, if you want to learn about PriceWriters, Jeremy Keaton, co-founder and director of the PriceWriter, was on episode 524. I will include the notes in the show notes. I will include the link in the show notes so you can check that out. So Catrin, thank you for joining me today. How's it going?
I'm very well, thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here. And it looks like it's a lot brighter outside. It's nighttime here in Surrey. I'm just outside London. And so the weather is always grey, but yeah,
Yep.
not like your side of the world.
3:05 p.m. here in Atlanta, Georgia, and my apartment faces west, so my afternoons get a ton of light, and we do appear to finally be getting into real spring. So yes, it is nice and lots of natural light here locally. So author interviews are some of my favorites because 90% of episodes are what is your insurtech? What do you guys do? And where did the idea come from? So author interviews are significantly more free-flowing, conversational. So yeah, kind of a combination. Who are you? Why did you write the book? What is the book?
Yeah, lots of questions. So I'm Catrin Townsend. As you said, I'm currently a prize writer as Director of Education. But before that, I have got over a decade, that makes me feel so old, but over a decade of insurance experience, Lloyd's of London, commercial insurance, reserving, pricing, personal lines. I've kind of moved about quite a lot and gained loads of really valuable experience. But I get the feeling that not many people know what actuaries do. Even people who are in insurance.
Let me pause you there. So number one, for insurance, we're both young. At least in the States, I'm assuming that the UK is probably similar, and I'm assuming Lloyd's especially is average age in the 50s, kind of like most of the insurance industry here in the US. But I don't know. I haven't been to Lloyd's. Number two, actuaries. Yes, I am a gigantic insurance nerd, and I have my CPCU, which is the American equivalent to CII. And I have 9 other designations, and I run a podcast about insurance and insurtech. And a few years ago, I left being an underwriter and took a role at the largest the largest insurance recruiting firm within in the US. And the first thing they did after I started, just the calendar happened to fall that way. They sent me to a CAS meeting. It was CAGNY, the Casualty Actuaries of New York. Because a lot of what I was selling was actuaries for consulting, temporary assignments. And I very quickly realized that even with CPCU in hand, I knew very little. Like I know the act. So from my perspective at that time, as a former underwriter, the actuaries came up with the pricing from which I start, right? The pricing that the system gives me and from which I deviate. And that's it. That's all I knew about actuaries. Oh, and it takes a long time to get credentialed as an actuary, but that is it. And I think that level of knowledge of what an actuary does is ahead of your average insurance professional who has never interacted with actuaries. So agreed completely.
Yeah, and what's a little bit worrying is that I think most actuaries, when they join the profession, also have no idea what actuaries do. I know that I only joined by fluke really.
So I've
Because my friends
asked
were doing it.
I've asked tons and tons of insurance people why they came into insurance, and the answer almost always is by accident. Uh, Actuaries, at least here in the States, that I've asked why they came into insurance, a lot of them basically how it goes is I was good at math, and a high school math teacher told me that actuarial would be a great career, and they went into an actuarial science college program really with no further understanding of what an actuary would do other than, hey, this is math which I'm good at and it pays well.
Yeah, yikes. I mean, but that's so true. That resonates so much with me. I was already at university when I found out that actuary was even a role. I didn't even know how to make that a verb, if I was honest, like actuaring.
Ugh.
I don't know. Um, but anyway, I knew that a lot of my peers, a lot of my friends were applying for actuarial roles, mostly at consultancy, Big Four, and I was like,
I do have to
right.
say, if a lot of your friends are actuaries, that doesn't sound like a very fun party.
Whoa, whoa.
At least the stereotypical actuary.
Yeah, well, that's quite true. Actually, in the Institute and Faculty of Actuaries in the UK have these like working groups, which they call working parties, and there's one particular one called the third party injury working party. Everyone calls it the third party working party, and you know how fun that is just by the name, obviously. But yeah, I had no idea what I was doing. Everyone else was applying for actuarial roles. I thought I'd jump on the bandwagon. Um, because I'd been rejected from investment banking from pretty much everywhere in London. So I thought I'll just apply, and I got a role at a syndicate because I think someone felt sorry for me. Um, anyway, and so I worked at Lloyd's for a couple of years, and I actually really, really enjoyed it. I was actually working on the capital side. I wasn't working with the actuaries very closely. And then on one of the days, I think my boss wanted to get an early lunch or something. And he said, look, sit with this underwriter at the broker desk and he'll talk you through what he does. And this guy had a mouse mat and it had a couple of tables on of like rates, like multipliers. It said like, South America times by 1.5 or whatever. And
Mhm.
as a broker came along, he read the prices off the mouse mat. My job for the day was to type them into the calculator and give them back to him. And then he would deviate it, like just like you said. And I said to him at the end of the day, I said, how do you get the numbers on the mouse mat? And he said, oh, that's just what the actuary does. And I
Handed down
thought,
the generations.
and I was like, that sounds great. I want to do that. And so I then actually did kind of apply more for actuary roles. And originally I got into reserving. And
So,
after 2 years, I did not enjoy that so much.
so real quick, because it's going to boggle my mind otherwise. Why did you want to go into investment banking originally?
Well, I just thought that like I could make a load of money by 30
Okay.
and then retire. That I
Yeah.
mean, I'm
So,
over 30
and
now and I'm still not retired.
and
So I'm obviously
and
doing something wrong.
yeah, the reason I ask is because often one of the things I do is chat with Tony.com, which is free career advice for insurance professionals. And again, very US heavy. But often I get calls from kids, and kids is anybody younger than me. I'm 42 now. Kids who went to school specifically because they want to be investment bankers. And then they graduate, and for whatever reason, they ended up, recession or bad luck or whatever. For whatever reason, they end up in insurance instead. And then a year later, they call me in a panic, basically feeling like they've already failed at life, right? And I start those calls with actually, you got really lucky. This is a much better industry than investment banking. Like, you'll actually have a life here. You'll have work-life balance, right? Uh, but in my mind, the key skill sets of an investment banker, and again, I'm not super close to that world, are kind of the opposite from your average actuary. Like yeah, they need to be able to excel, but more than anything, they need to sell, right? And be able to bring in the money. So you're the first person I run into who kind of went from I want to be an investment banker to actuary. So very interesting.
Yeah, I grew up in a small town in Wales. Now, most Americans probably don't know where Wales is, but it's that little blob on the side of England. And it's technically its own province or something like that. But anyway, so really rural, loads of sheep. Most people in my school were farmers. And I knew when I was in high school, I was like, I want to go to London. Maybe a bit Dick Whittington-esque, but I want to go to London, make my fortune. And so I had this idea that I wanted to work in London, doing something financial. I knew that.
And basically no guidance on
No guide,
what
no, God,
options
no.
there were. Okay.
I just thought, what do people do in London? Banking. Well, that didn't quite go so well, did it, for that? As I was going to university just after the 2008 recession. So I was like, oh, banking, we'll probably avoid that one.
Yeah.
And so I thought maybe investment banking or something like that. But actually, I'm so glad that I'm an actuary now. But I just think it's such a shame because so many people are lucky and do fall into, some people are lucky and they fall into insurance, but there must be so many great people out there who would be perfect for insurance, who would just bring so much skill set and passion, and they just don't know about it.
My theory is just about anybody who is who is able to do white collar employment, just about anybody who's able to get through college, it is, or through uni, it is a good fit for insurance, because we have such a broad set of things we need done, right? So yeah, if you're great at math, absolutely actuarial. If you're not great at math, we still have tons of great work for you.
Yeah, it's just sad, isn't it? There's no actuary Barbie, there's no insurance Barbie. Kids don't grow up saying, "Oh, I want to do that." It's kids say, "I want to be a vet." Even my kids say they want to be a vet, and they've got two parents who are actuaries, and it's just so difficult because, when I was at university and I said to my dad, "Oh, I think I might want to be an actuary," he went, "Right, so what's that, like pensions or something?" And I think there is so much underappreciation for insurance and for the actuarial profession. In fact, my dad ended up finding me an actuary to talk to because my dad is one of my biggest supporters.
Fantastic.
So the person he found was, now try and follow this if you can, his colleague's vicar's niece. Yeah. So we had
Good
to go
job,
quite,
yeah.
quite a few circles out to find an actuary. And I would have found it so much easier, not just to be an actuary, but also to get into pricing. Reserving was quite formulaic.
Oh yeah,
it was
yeah.
very like
yes.
quarterly.
So you fall into reserving. Why didn't you like reserving?
I didn't like the fact that everything was looking backwards. It didn't have lots of bearing on the future, but also I found it quite depressing that we did exactly the same thing on every single day of each quarter. So I would have been able to tell you what I would be doing on the 6th of September, in 4 years' time, because every quarter we do exactly the same pattern of stuff. And it was a little bit like, oh, I can't make dinner plans for my birthday in half a year's time because I'm going to have to be, I have to do my data preparation specifically on that day. And I find that a bit depressing. And I think also I've got a master's in statistical modeling, and I really wanted to get into that. Plus the mouse mat story, that sounded pretty cool, didn't it? Making mouse mats.
Absolutely, with math on them.
Yeah, mouse mats, exactly. So I was really lucky and was able to move into pricing after about 2 years of reserving. And I've really enjoyed pricing. I've done it for commercial and also for personal lines.
So
and I love it. But
much more looking forward. Okay. What? So from pricing actuary to writing a book.
Yeah. Honestly, it was because I was having a chat with my dad, and again, I mean, my dad now has seen me through college, and he's very like numerate, he was a chemist by trade, so it's not like he doesn't get mathematical concepts or anything. So I've been through college. He's kind of watched me go through all my actuarial exams, be working in insurance for many years. And I was saying to him, actually during COVID when we were in lockdown, and we were just having like chats quite regularly. And he said, so Catrin, I've been meaning to ask you this for quite a while. And I thought, oh God, it's going to be something serious, And he said, so what do you actually do all day? Jimmy, I'm an actuary. Yeah, but what do you do? Like, so he said, so you go to your desk in the morning and you sit down and I thought, oh no, like we've probably had hundreds of hours of conversation and he clearly has no idea what I do. And I thought there must be other people who work with actuaries, who maybe even live with actuaries, or are friends with actuaries, or even who want to be actuaries. And unless you have a colleague's vicar's niece to chat to, then you are never going to get this information. It's like it's a cult. It's anything else. If we said, oh, you can't have the information until you join, we would be saying cult red flags right there, right? But for actuarial science, this is absolutely the norm. And what I wanted to do is wanted to write a book, and it's not written for actuaries. It's written for the underwriters, people in insurance, the people who live with an actuary and really don't want to hear about, really just want to know, but they don't want to hear it. It's for students. And I wanted to write a real like accessible and relevant way of explaining what actuaries do and why it's actually super important for society.
Fantastic. For a business book, it's sizable.
It's pretty chunky. So I think it's about 200 pages. I don't know actually how many pages. Oh yeah, it's actually quite chunky. So when I was writing it in Word, it was like 200 pages in Word. But yeah, it is like almost 400 pages. But I like to see it as a pick and mix. You have this in America, like a pick and mix. You have like a bag and you pick the sweets that you want to, and you just ignore.
Okay.
You ignore the gross ones like the dolly mixtures because no one really likes a dolly mixture. And everyone just wants to go straight for the fizzy cola bottles. So it's just like that. So it's 19 little chapters, 10 to 12 pages a chapter, and you can read them in pretty much any order.
Perfect.
Skip over the bits that don't interest you. So if you don't want to read about pensions, that's okay. Skip that bit. And it's a bit of a buffet. Pick what you want. Okay, pick what you're interested in.
Perfect. So it's modular.
Yeah, or a buffet, however you want to describe it.
Perfect. So the book came out. Looks like 23.
Yeah, October 2022. Yeah.
What kind of feedback have you received?
Oh, well, I mean, the good thing about writing a book is that no one ever tells you it's rubbish. So, so I've had quite a lot of good feedback, but I'm not sure. I think that everyone says that. I've had a few people like individually reach out and said, "Oh, actually, this was really interesting." Crucially, my dad liked it, and he now does understand what I do all day. So I feel like that was the real winner. But also, the Society of Actuaries in Canada has picked it up as reading for some of their exams.
Fantastic.
Some universities have as well as recommended textbooks for their actuarial science courses. It's really accessible. So anyone with even high school maths, my grandma has read it. It's not we're not really getting into the maths here. It's more about concepts, and it's also really helpful, I think, for early stage actuaries. If you're already in insurance and you're kind of thinking, oh, I'm not enjoying this as much as I thought I was going to, it might be that just doing a switch like I did from reserving to pricing, or from pensions into general insurance, whatever it is, it might be that that's the boost you need.
That is fantastic, and something that our industry is not good at, helping people figure out the right seat on the bus. In fact, from my YouTube channel, my second favorite, but actually my favorite, but my second most popular video, it's called the tier list of insurance jobs. Basically, I go over 42 different jobs in insurance, put them on a tier list from great to not so great, and talk about them and how they lead to each other. And the reason I love it is that it's what I give as homework when people call me for career advice, and they're like, "Hey, I'm doing X, not loving it. Well, go watch this," and then having watched that and having a broad perspective of all the different things you could do within insurance, now I can help you come up with a plan on how to get there, right? So having something like that for the actuarial specific world makes a ton of sense to me, because I'm assuming you can't easily just go to the next CE, or the next time you go to a CAS or whatever the actuarial society in the UK is. You're going for your hours. Chances are they don't have a session on here's all the different things you could do with your with your credential now that you have it, if you're not loving exactly where you're at.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's also really important for people who work with actuaries to understand what we can do and also what we can't do. But there has been a few people who've thought I was a wizard, which is not, I mean, I'm happy to go with it, but it's not my day job. Or people who think I can predict the future. Again, happy to run with it, but you're giving me way too much credit. But to understand a really basic, okay, our company is now using generalized linear models. What does that mean? How does that affect me? How does that affect me as an underwriter? And how can I work with actuaries to understand that? Or things, like we've got a new catastrophe model. What does that mean for me? Or whether it's latent claims risk or supply chain modeling, how does an actuary do that? And I've also got a chapter in there about government actuarial work, so things like modeling coronavirus. That was a huge thing, obviously a couple of years ago now, but predicting how that's going to spread and what impact it's going to have on people. And I think that most people, not just in insurance but just people in the street, don't realize how influential actuaries are on their lives. And I think during COVID, that was one of the times when I actually loved aspects of that, because you could go to the supermarket or you'd walk around the street and you would hear, two old ladies saying, "Oh, well, the R rate is going to be 1.2," and the other lady would say, "Well, I'm not sure about that statistical model because it was apparently stochastic." And I was thinking, this is amazing. I love this. I'm such a statistics nerd. I'm a real models nerd. And I got really excited, actually. I thought one of the great things about COVID is that people were genuinely interested in what actuaries had to say, really interested in statistical modeling. And I just thought, what a great, you got to look for the silver linings. But I love that aspect. And I realized that I want to help more people get excited about insurance, get excited about actuarial science, and also get excited about modeling. And now in my new role as well, insurance pricing.
So yeah, tell me about the new role.
So yeah, the new role, I'm director of education. So what that basically means is I'm going to be taking all of my many years of experience and I'm going to be distilling them down into kind of easily watchable, like 10 to 15-minute videos that for a membership fee you can join as a member, and then you'll have access to all the videos. You can watch them as many times as you want to. That's, you do you. And there'll be exercises, little quizzes, and all of these videos are going to help you build your insurance pricing knowledge. Because I think as well, pricing is one of those areas, it's such a big lever for insurance, isn't it? If the price isn't right, then your insurance is not going to be profitable. Pricing also helps control your footprint, so what segments you're writing. And it's such an important lever, but there's not a lot of training for it. So I know that in the USA, you've got lots of exams that do different type aspects of pricing. In the UK, we've got one set of actuarial exams for everyone. So whether you're a pensions actuaries or not, only the last 3 exams differ at all. And there's a general insurance track and a pensions track and a health track and things. And even within the general insurance track, there's only one chapter on like, well, generalized linear models. And that one chapter is pretty much all that's relevant to personal lines these days. And even now we're moving towards data science. So there's a real lack of pricing training. And if you've ever been asked to pick up a new software or a new language or a new skill set just by osmosis, I don't know, you'll know that it's really difficult, and it's really difficult to get right first time, but insurers need to get it right first time.
Really?
So
Okay. Hold on. Okay, so what you're telling me is that the people that we trust and who are credentialed and who we depend on to get the pricing right, which is radically important in our industry, much more so like if Sony gets the price wrong on a TV, they might lose a little bit of money. If we get the price wrong on insurance, it takes us a while to catch it. Like, it's a big mistake, right? Like the zeros add up very quickly when you're talking about risk, where we're the only industry doesn't know the cost of goods sold when we sell it. We have a good estimate. So you're telling me that the majority of the education that your colleagues got was not about pricing, was more about pensions and reserving.
Yeah, or general insurance as a whole. There's a whole module on reserving, but actually there is a whole module on pricing, but a lot of it is reinsurance or commercial lines focused, and personal lines moves really quickly. It's the same in America, it's the same everywhere. Personal lines, because it has so much data, it has moved really quickly as an industry. And even since I joined pricing, things have moved on from, I remember building the first GLM in my one of my previous roles, the first GLM for commercial fleet in the UK. And this was like a big deal. And now everyone's moved past generalized linear models. People are now into gradient boosted models. People are using all different kinds of data science techniques. But actually, the training for these methods is coming from other sources. So a lot of people, like me, for example, have a master's in statistical modeling, which would have covered some of these techniques, or they might have data science qualifications or whatever it is. So it's not that people aren't qualified, it's just that there's no obvious training route. It's either a data science qualification and then how do you go from data science into insurance? You just have to basically turn up and hope you get the background. Or you go from actuarial into insurance pricing and then kind of hope you can pick up the pricing section. I mean, what I do, to be honest, I give my copy of my book to all the data scientists in my team. I'm just like, got great data science skills now, learn how that applies to insurance. So it's the other good thing that writing a book is really good for. You can give it to people in the team to reduce the number of questions you get. But yeah, I think that people really need that. And I also think that senior leaders need it. Just because you have been in insurance 20 years, there's still so much to learn. And I hear it on your podcast all the time. So many people are bringing out insurtech or cool new methods of doing it. Is there really a safe place for senior leaders to kind of be like, people keep saying this thing, but I'm not really sure what it means, but I obviously need to know because it's my team. Where can I go do that in a place where I don't have to attend a big like training of 200 people, So that's the other really good thing about on-demand online training, is that you can do it from the comfort of your own home. You can do it in your PJs. You can do it sneaky on your lunch break. It's really flexible, and uh, everyone can get something from this, I think.
So this is a completely new approach to continuing your learning as an actuary.
Yeah, I think so. Most actuaries in the UK go to one of the big conferences every year. And you do 3 days, and it's pretty heavy going, and you kind of come out of that reeling. There might be a few sessions on pricing, but not loads. And obviously in between you might want to do online courses or something, but it's kind of a build your own adventure. There's no like, you should do this. It's more just, what do you find on the internet, and go look at that. And really what we wanted to create at PriceWriter was a one-stop shop for, if you want a video on insurance pricing and you really want to get into it, like, what are the real issues that people face? Because I know that, if I just type into YouTube or something like GLMs or even if you just Google something like that, you either get like university level papers or quite academic papers, and you're like, there's a bit of effort. And how does that relate to insurance? Or you get stuff that is not very helpful, or it's on Stack Exchange, so you only get like 2 lines of answer. We just wanted a space where we can really get into it, make it really insurance focused instead of being generically data science focused, and just create a bit of community for people to feel like pricing is a profession, or pricing is a community in itself, rather than pricing having this awkward split between the data scientists and the actuaries. We want to make pricing feel a really nice, cohesive community.
All right. Fantastic. Fantastic. All right. Thank you for your time today. This has been very, very interesting. I like I said, I really enjoy authoring interviews, and more than anything, I really enjoy chatting with people who are passionate about this wonderful industry, and get others excited about this wonderful industry, because at least here in the States, we're an industry packed with people who have had great careers and who really enjoy what they do. They do well while doing good for the world, and yet nobody knows about it, right? Their kids don't know about it. Like, it's crazy. Much less your average high schooler or college student.
Absolutely. And like I say, I think that's so silly, is it is really actually very relevant for everyone. And it answers so many big questions in society. The question of who's going to pay for social care, for example, that, like, funding for social care, you can use actuarial methods, the same that have been used in defined benefit pension schemes for years. You can use those same methods and just apply them to social care. And, that could give you a whole range of solutions, for example. Demographics and understanding population trends. That's a very actuarial skill set that really genuinely informs where schools and hospitals get built, So this isn't just, oh, well, I don't have a car, so I don't need car insurance, so it's not really anything to do with me. It's like, no, this really is. And the insurance industry is such a big advocate for example, like natural catastrophe whether it's addressing that issue or putting in emergency procedures after those catastrophes. The insurance industry does so much to try and propel that forward, to get the government to really take this issue seriously. And so I think it's an industry that actually touches everyone's lives.
Absolutely.
Just we don't know, like no one knows
Mm-hmm.
it. And so I wanted to make my book really relevant, accessible. It's full of Taylor Swift quotes and Simpson quotes, and I think it's even got some Dr. Seuss in there. Um, so it's fun, it's relevant, it's accessible, and I think it's a really good reflection of everything that actuarial science does for society.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for your time today.
Thanks so much.